morning, but is everyone excited? Awesome, you should be. It'll be 2 weeks, really boring 2 weeks if you're not excited, so hopefully you are. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Our first stop's the Little Ituri Forest. This is where the animals like to blend in into their surroundings, so everyone do me a favor and keep your eyes peeled, because here you really never know what you might find. Looks like I already see an animal up to the right. It has striped legs, very similar to a zebra. It's called an okapi. Okapis are the only known relative of the giraffe. They were not discovered by the Western world until about 1901 because they are so very shy and reclusive. And watering holes like the one over here to the left are home for more of the rare species, such as the black rhino. Looks like we're going to see one today too. That's pretty exciting. We'll get around the corner in just a moment. Now, sadly, due to poaching, there are less than 5,000 black rhinos in the world, which, if you think about it, really isn't that many at all. Let's see if we can get a closer view. Now, black rhino's horn is made of keratin, which is the same material that's found in your fingernails and in your hair. They're about 2,000 pounds less than a white rhino is, and hopefully when we get to the Savannah, we will be able to tell the difference.
Wow.
Now here at Harambe, we work with other organizations to help protect animals like the black rhino and provide veterinary care for over 70 different types of species. Now up to the right, you're going to spot a couple more animals. They look very similar to deer. They're called greater kudu's. Now greater kudu's are the second tallest antelopes in the world, and those are females because they don't have horns. Males will, but the females will not. Those animals that do have horns and they're reddish in color, those are called bongos. Now bongos are known as the ghosts of the forest because they are rarely seen. They have backward shaped antlers so they can scurry faster through the forest without getting stuck on any debris. Now we're going to leave the forest and head on into the Sanofi River. This is where I almost always see hippos. Does anyone like hippos? Awesome. Well, I like hippos. I think they're pretty cool, so we'll see if we can find some today. Now, hippos are known as river horses, but they're not related to the horse in any way. They're related to the cow, the pig, and the well. And if we were to see a hippo, it probably would be in the water, because that's where they like to spend most of their time. They can actually hold their breath underwater from 5 to 8 minutes. Looks like there's one over to the right in the water. Now, a male hippo like that one can weigh up to 5,000 pounds, but a baby when born only weighs about 85 pounds, so they do a whole lot of growing in their lifetime. They also are very good swimmers, but they'll just tiptoe on the bottom of the river, just because they can. Let's see if we can find some more right around the riverbed. Well, I think there's a couple more right up here, actually. One might be coming up. Oh, yeah, perfect. Look to your left. Oh, it's down. That's okay. There's a couple more over here. Now, hippos can run about 30 miles per hour on land, which is actually faster than a human can run. So if you ever were to see a hippo, you probably want to get out of the way. Now, the birds on the island to the left are called the pink-backed pelicans. They get their pinkish color during mating season. Not quite yet mating season for them, though. What other animals we could find around here. Oh, looks like it's a little bit more frightening. Down to the left, you'll see some Nile crocodiles. Now, Nile crocodiles are about as long as a giraffe is tall, which is around 20 feet. They can also crush at a pressure of 2,000 pounds per square inch. And they're cold-blooded animals, so they keep their mouths open sometimes to regulate their own body temperature. Don't be fooled by them sitting still, though, because they can actually hold their breath for up to 2 hours. They can also run about 10 miles per hour on land, which is really awesome but really scary, so I say let's get on out of here. Now, our next stop is the Savannah, which is a completely different ecosystem than we have seen so far. It's full of many different types of animals, many different types of plants, and also a very different looking tree. Now this tree is called a baobab tree, or an upside down tree, because it looks like it has roots coming out of the top. I think we're going to find one over on our right. Oh, there it is. That actually does go leafless 9 months out of the year as well. Pretty cool looking tree. I'm sure we'll see more of them throughout the reserve. But we made our way into the Savannah. This is my personal favorite view of the whole reserve. The Serengeti grassland stretches for hundreds of miles and are home to many migrating animals. Also home to more of the famous animals such as the giraffe and the elephant. So we'll see if we're lucky enough to find a couple of those animals today. This is also the wild Africa that we work very hard to preserve here in our outback. I don't see any animals quite yet, but we'll make our way around the corner and see if we can find them there. Now, the landscape around this area is actually shaped by the animals that live here. So giraffes, they act like pruning shears. They'll eat the leaves off the top of the trees. Elephants, they act like bulldozers, knocking down those trees to get to the leaves. Smaller animals like antelopes, they act like lawnmowers, grazing on the grasses. And even smaller little nibblers, such as the warthog, they will trim up the edges. So in a balanced ecosystem, that basically just means that everyone gets something good they can eat. Now you also might notice the really tall cones of dirt around this area. There's a huge one up here on the left. Does anyone know what they're called? They look like ants. They're termite mounds. They're actually as hard as concrete. Elephants will use them as back scratching posts. Once they knock them over, they get worn down by the rain. They look very similar to the one over here on the right that's worn down. Makes it easy for something like an antelope to climb up on top of so that they can look for predators. Looks like we found a couple of animals over to our left though. Those ones that have really, really long horns, they're called Ankole cattle. Now Ankole cattle's horns are around 6 feet long. The circumference of their horns is about 20 inches. They're also called Watusi cattle from the tribe that first domesticated them. Now with horns that big, you would think they would be extremely heavy. They're actually not heavy at all though. They're shaped very similar to a honeycomb in the inside. They have blood vessels that run all the way from the tip of the horn back to the animal's head and acts as a cooling system for the animal. Pretty much like its own personal air conditioning system. Pretty awesome. Lots of animals do things like that to regulate their own body temperature. And to your right, you'll see some grayish colored animals. Those are called white-bearded wildebeest. Now, wildebeest are nicknamed the new for the new grunting sound that they make. They travel in really big herds, migrating from location to location. Translation of the Afrikaans word literally means wild beast. And there's one more animal over here to the right. It's very small and it has a white face and white underneath part. It is called a springbok. Now, springboks can actually jump in the air up to 12 feet. And they're fully grown, about 3 weeks old. Pretty cool animals as well. Now up on the hill to the right, you'll also spot a pretty large antelope. Now that antelope is called a Patterson eland. Now eland species are the largest species of antelopes. A Patterson eland weighs around 2,000 pounds. It can also jump in the air up to 6 feet, which is pretty impressive for an animal of that size. Let's see if we can find anything else. I actually already see an animal. You might be able to see it as well. If you look all the way up to the left, there's a giraffe up there. It's eating some leaves. If you see the leaves move, then you probably are looking in the right direction. Just turned its head. There it goes. We'll see if we can see it a little bit better. Now, there's many types of giraffes, but the ones on the reserve are Maasai giraffes. These have more of a lacy-ridged edge pattern. He's back to your left, but there's one more over here. It's a little bit better view for you. So I'll pull up here and you just look over to your left. There you go. Now they do eat from about 18 to 20 hours during the day. They have tongues that are about 18 inches long, which is pretty awesome. They can grow to be up to 20 feet tall, but a baby when born is about 6 foot tall. Still pretty tall. Pretty much taller than me. Now, Swahili word for a giraffe is twiga, and a group of giraffes is called a tower. Makes complete sense. Now, looks like I found some knockdown trees. Usually that means I can find some elephants, so we'll see if we have any luck today. Well, in the meantime, I think I found a couple of monkeys over to the left. I see them on top of the rocks. Now, those monkeys are called mandrills. They're the most colorful monkey in all of Africa. Male weighs around 100 pounds, while female only weighs 30 pounds. Also pick bugs off each other to make their social ties stronger. Oh, I don't see any elephants quite yet, but we're gonna head on into elephant country and see if we can find a few there. I have a feeling we're gonna have some pretty good luck. Yeah, so far. We did find an elephant already. Look to your right. That's a bull elephant or a male elephant. Now I know he's a male because he's by himself. Males will leave their herd when they reach the end of adolescence, which is around 13 years old. It's actually the second longest childhood. The first longest childhood is us. It's humans. I guess we never really grow up. But if he's here, his herd must not be too far behind. So we will make our way now into elephant country and see if we can find some more elephants there. Just have to cross over this bridge to get over to elephant country, so just hold on tight. It's a little bit old and a little bit frightening, but don't worry, I've made it every time. Except for that one time, but we don't talk about that. So don't worry. I'm feeling pretty good today. We're almost there. We're almost there. And I feel my back tires. We should be good. Everyone okay back there? Sweet. Well, if you did lose a friend or family member, don't worry. Just hashtag Lost in Africa. I'm sure you'll find their picture on Instagram later. But we did find the red clay pits. This is where the elephants like to hang out so they can eat the beneficial minerals from the clay. And I actually see their tusk marks everywhere, so we must be getting pretty close to some. Oh my gosh. Look to your left. There's an elephant. Lots of elephants, actually. Pretty good view. Now, elephants will throw dirt on their backs to protect themselves from the sun because they get pretty sunburned. They also flap their ears like that because they have blood vessels on their ears and they can cool themselves off up to 15 degrees by doing so. Now, elephants are sadly poached for their ivory tusks, but scientists here at Harambe are trying to figure out how they communicate with one another so that we can better understand what they need in order to survive. We'll see if we can see them a little bit better around the corner here, but I'll go ahead and turn on my background music for you because I like to listen to music when I see a pretty good view. This one up here looks like a pretty good view. We'll stop right about here for a moment. Elephants also drink about 30 gallons of water a day. They have about 40,000 muscles in their trunks. Pretty strong animals.
What is it?
That's why the word for an elephant is Timbo.
Little rabbit?
Looks like we found the greater flamingos. Well, they're actually born gray, but they gain their pinkish color through their diet. Mostly of prime shrimp, which is actually very high in beta-carotene.
The rabbit?
The little ones are back there too. They're not too old. Now we're gonna leave the East Savannah and head on into the West Savannah. There's a couple of different animals that like to live here, so we'll see if we can find them. I already see a couple of them. Now this one is walking straight towards us is an ostrich. Ostriches are the largest flightless bird. They can run up to 40 miles per hour, and they lay eggs that weigh around 3 pounds each. But honestly, they scare me a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and go. Now you'll also see some big zebras over there. Zebras are black with white stripes because of the reference point of their nose. No two zebra stripes are ever the same, very much like our enough force in their kick to break the lion's jaw. Pretty impressive. Pretty good view of them though. Also, we found the white rhinos, which is my favorite animal, so I'm so excited about it. They're hiding underneath this tree over here, probably because they're a little bit hot. But they are poached for their horns, which are listed very highly on the black market. With more money and better material, they can even be poached on reserves like this one, which makes me really sad. I also have really bad eyesight, so they can barely see in front of their face. Probably by a group of white rhinos called a crash. Makes sense. Also, up to the left, you'll see 2 cheetahs lying down on the rocks. They're hard to spot, but you can't miss them when you spot them. Now, they can run up to 60 miles per hour, but they can only do that for about the length of a football field, because that's the only amount of stamina they truly have.
Oh, wow.
Cheetahs are the only cat that will hunt during the day using their sense of sight. Also, the only cat in the wild that will purr as well. And these smaller antelopes over here are called bonteboks. They're actually extinct in the wild. You can only find them on reserves like this one. Now there's a couple more cheetahs. If you keep looking to your left, they're not going to stop, but they're right over behind this tree over here. They're flapping their toes. Swahili word for a cheetah is duma. Alright, now we're going to make our way onto the Kobe rocks. We'll see what we can find here, but does anyone have any guesses? Lions, you're right. Actually, I already see 2. If you look up here to the left, there's a female lioness. That's her head right beside that rock.
Oh, they moved.
Yep, and her 2 ears. You see them?
Wow.
There's another female on the other side of her,
It's just
but
that
that's
short
one of
time
them.
they moved all the way.
Now, female lioness, they do most of the hunting in a relationship, and I'll do that at night in groups of female lions. They remain inactive from 18 to 20 hours during the day, so them lying around is not uncommon. Does anyone know what the Swahili word for a lion is? It's really simple. It is Simba. Yes, so shocking, I know. Let's see if we can find them though. We might have some luck.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
They're riding a horse. Without putting your feet on the
I
stirrups.
don't see him. He's probably
He
hiding
moved
behind a
too.
rock.
He's
They do
not
that
there
pretty
anymore.
well. But that's okay. We got to see the female. That's pretty cool too. But if you look to the left, to the very first large tree you see on the ground, you will spot 2 warthogs. They look like hairy rocks. Yep. They're warthogs, largest burrowing mammals. They actually back into their burrows to protect themselves from predators. They have really sharp tusks, so once they get into their burrows, predators are pretty scared of them because they look larger than they actually are. I think they're pretty cute though. And the ostrich that we saw, and now it's right over here to the right, those eggs on the ground are hers. They weigh up to 3 pounds each. But we got to see a lot of really awesome animals here, so we're going to head on into our next destination, which is the desert lands of Africa. We'll see what we can find there. Looks like there's a couple animals right around the corner here. Now the first are really large birds. They're called yellow-billed storks. Carnivorous birds, meaning they eat fish, smaller birds, snakes, frogs, anything that fits into their beak, really. Also have a wingspan of 6 feet. So they're animals that have really awesome-looking horns. They are called addax. Now addax go most of their lives without drinking any water. That's because they get their nutrition from what they eat. They're also poached for their really awesome-looking horns as well. We got to see a lot of really awesome animals over the past 2 weeks, but I think our journey is about to come to an end because I'm going to have to drop you folks off at the Warden Post right around the corner here. From there, it's just a short walk back to the Huron Bay Village. But we saw a lot of really